Hi, I'm Billy Mitchell with FedScoop TV. Today I'm here with Mary Davie of GSA. How are you, Mary?
Great, thanks.
Awesome to have you here today. We're at the ACT-IAC Executive Leadership Conference, and there's a lot of cool stuff going on today, but specifically I wanted to talk to you a little bit about innovative acquisition. There's a lot of cool things going on. 18F has their Agile BPA. You guys are doing some cool stuff within the Federal Acquisition Services as well. So maybe start with what you're seeing on a broad scape within the land of acquisition as far as innovation goes.
Yeah, so there is a lot going on in acquisition, and especially related to technology. And that's one of the things we were just talking about in one of the previous sessions, is there's really an appetite right now across government and industry for change. And part of it, I think, is just driven by, legacy processes. Things aren't exactly timely, when it comes to acquiring acquisition. And you go through a really lengthy process, and then what you get may or may not solve the program manager's ultimate issue or problem. So what we're seeing right now, really coming out of the federal CIO and the Office of Federal Procurement Policy, and you got legislation like FTARA, but looking at acquisition specifically, things like category management. So we talked a lot about that in this session, and what that is, but really what it's intended to do for both government and industry. So I do a lot of IT buying, right, on behalf of the federal government. About a quarter of federal government IT spend comes through GSA and ITS and these contracts that we have. We have, GWACs, we have Schedule 70 of network services contracts, and we try to look at each one of those next generation of what problem are we trying to solve, but how does it relate to what people are actually buying? So IT services, people use Schedule 70, they use GWACs, but what can we do really to get away from sort of a contract focus to what is it people want to buy, what outcomes do they need, who are the providers of those things, how much are we spending in the government on these things at different agencies, and then how can we share that information? So what's the collaboration stream and the community aspect of helping connecting agencies together when they're trying to buy complex IT acquisitions, for instance?
And are there any specific kind of projects or anything you're working on that kind of excites you in that area?
Yep, there's two things. One, under category management, is the acquisition gateway, right, the hallway. So that's actually a technology platform where we will have, or we do have already, and we're going to continue to populate with content from other agencies. We've got contracts, we have pricing data, we have best practices, we have statement of work templates, there's all, GAO reports on how to buy, improving buying software as an example. So that is up and running. It's available for government use. It'll be open to industry by the end of the year. Industry will have the ability to contribute to all of that content. And then, the schedules program. In GSA, it's about a $36 billion program that supports everything from office supplies to IT to professional services. And it's been around a really long time, like 30 years at least, probably more, 40 years. And it's, we have over time, there's been a lot of sort of reviews of that program from outside panels and inside folks trying to figure out how do you make the program better for both the buyer and the supplier. So we have a project called Schedules Transformation in GSA, and it's looking at quite a lot of aspects of the program that might either be pain points for government or for industry. And again, it's really around making the buying process a little bit more transparent, a little bit faster, getting better pricing and information, and again, getting more data so you can actually compare. What did somebody else pay for a similar product or service, and how can I get that and take advantage of it, and really, do better when I need to do my acquisition. So that's something GSA has been working on for a while. It's one of our top priority projects. There's a lot of moving parts to it. It'll require changes to things like the FAR and the GSAR, the GSAM, that manages that program. But it really is looking at all kinds of aspects across the schedules program for the buyer.
Absolutely. You mentioned a little bit about FTARA, and especially the software changes that are kind of listed in there. I know that's what you guys are working on. So can you go into any depth on that? What kind of progress you've made so far?
Yep. So FTARA, is huge, and it addresses all kinds of CIO authorities and acquisition workforce. But the part that we're focused on is working with OMB and DoD on software licensing. Okay. So another, GSA and DoD and actually NASA SOUP comprise about 80% of the spend of government software purchases today. So what we're trying to do is look at some big opportunities for consistency in enterprise licensing. And we don't really have that today. We haven't had, again, the visibility of what people are buying from some of these major publishers and what terms and conditions they're negotiating, what kinds of pricing are they negotiating, how are they doing software assurance or the maintenance. So we actually started on this a couple of years ago, but Fatara has been great because now it brings a real focus to this and this problem. And so we're really looking at the opportunities for some of the things that government tends to buy a lot of in software and trying to figure out, is there a way to not only negotiate kind of consistent or standard terms for these things and make those consistent terms available, maybe on Schedule 70 and maybe on SSOOP, and again, sort of the major contracts working with the resellers and their OEMs. But also really stepping back and saying, so what's the real problem? So you could say the problem is people don't have access to maybe a lot of information and they're coming at this a little bit differently. But what we're also finding is it almost comes back to better asset management. So understanding what you already own, how much of it you own, how it's being purchased across a single department, and sort of getting your hands around the asset management aspect of it, and then looking to the best practice of the software assurance and when do we really need it and how much of it do we need. Can we go to a virtualization model where we're buying it almost as a service instead of named user licenses. So it's really understanding kind of that marketplace, and again back to category management and knowing how the providers are moving, how we want to be buying, and then trying to change the way that we buy and educate people in the buying behaviors and things like that. So we're really excited by the opportunities there and are really hoping that the industry comes forward and is looking to sort of do business with government a little bit differently.
Yeah. So you kind of listed a lot of changes that we can look forward to within acquisition, but obviously you need people to kind of man the helm with all these changes. So talk a little bit about what we could look forward to, or what the workforce environment is like as far as acquisition. I know it's a big topic in everything, especially IT related, but in the acquisition space, what kind of things are we expecting for the workforce?
I think the workforce, the message would be you have a lot of opportunity to think differently. And, the 1102 workforce, the people that the contracting officers, the contracting specialists, they are really, really busy and under a lot of pressure all the time. So in GSA, as an example, in my organization, we're recompeting our telecom contracts, our satellite contracts, we're looking at new wireless contracts, we've got the GWACs, but again, we're looking at it in terms of category management. So it's not just a matter of, okay, you're managing this contract, and now it's time to think about the next one because you've got a period of performance that's expiring. But again, it's looking across what gap are we trying to fill, and how can you think differently about that? How can you be innovative this next time around? What can you learn from maybe something another agency has done, or think about just a new way to offer or provide that service? Can we move from a strict sort of contractual environment to some sort of shared service? So our USA Access program, we do a contract for USA Access core services and then a bunch of other supporting service contracts. We have contracting officers managing that. On the program side, we also have people that kind of know the technology and are helping agencies with card issuance and local printing. And so that requires both contracting and program expertise. So they really have an ability, I think, to sort of transform from just sort of thinking about it from just a contract to how we're really executing an entire program, and then looking at how do you move out of a traditional requirements environment, how do you bring in more collaboration into that process, and really reach across a broader group of agencies that usually help us build those things, or reaching out and working with industry to continuously improve. So COs have just as much opportunity as the program people, and together they really consist of our larger acquisition workforce.
Awesome. Well, that's a great thing to watch out for.
Yeah, so. A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on with me today, Mary.
Sure.
It's been fun.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Billy Mitchell with FedScoop TV. Thanks for watching.